Motherfucking mini episode. Mini episode. Motherfucking mini episode.
Yup. There it is. Another goddamn welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to another motherfucking mini episode. Mini episode of My Mama Told Me, the podcast where we dive deep into the pockets of black conspiracy theories, and we finally work to prove the theories that you, the listeners, have at home. Come on. I'm excited to hear from you. I'm sick of fucking hearing my own thoughts. They're miserable. They're sad thoughts. Oh, I fall apart every day thinking about all the things that are happening in my world. I got in a bit of hot water this week because I tweeted something silly about Will Smith, and apparently people were not pleased with my take on his struggle with throwing up after sex. They didn't like what I said about him, and a lot of people are calling me a snitch and telling me that I should die a fiery death because I made fun of that billionaire. But you know, it'll go away, right? Right, folks at home? This'll simmer down and I'll be able to just talk my shit again. Probably not. I think I'm moving past the point where I get to just shoot blindly at celebrities because for some reason people are treating the things that I say like news. When in fact I'm a goddamn idiot and none of this should be treated as news because I just wanted an excuse to say pussy poisoning. And isn't that a fun little phrase, pussy poisoning? If we could find a way to squeeze that into our day more often, I think the world would be a better place. That's my personal take, but who am I? I'm your host. That's who I am. I'm your host, Langston Kerman, and I'm excited because as we do with all mini episodes, we dig into the vaults, the emails that I get sent from you, the listeners, and this one's a fun one. This one actually comes all the way to us from Rwanda. That's right, Rwanda. Never been. Heard your hotels are lovely. I didn't have to do that joke. Anyway, I don't know why. That's a piece of shit move, and I apologize already because that was unnecessary. There's no reason to have brought up Hotel Rwanda just because it's the only reference I have for a country that I'm not aware of. But my listener today, a person named Billy, sent me a lovely email and sent me a conspiracy theory that I'm really excited to unpack with y'all. Billy said, "Hi, Langston," a classic Rwandan greeting. He said, "Hi, Langston. I hope you are well. Thanks for your fun, entertaining, and despite what some have said, well-researched podcast." Well, Billy, I'm the main one saying it's not well-researched, so I agree to disagree. But let's move on. Billy said, "So my mama told me if I don't fully drink a glass of milk to the last drop, the cow that produced the milk dies." For quick context, cows where I am from in Rwanda hold significant sociocultural meanings and play a large role in people's livelihoods. The prospect of killing a cow by not finishing its milk has always been an effective guilt-tripping method, especially when the mechanics of the cow's death have never been explained to me. Does the cow die out of chagrin, thinking that its milk was not tasty enough for me? Another relevant piece of information: my family and I are not vegetarian. No hesitation about eating cow meat. Vegetarianism isn't even a culturally upheld practice in Rwanda. So why would I be chastised for not fully drinking my milk? If anything, I think we should all consider not finishing our milk. It's probably the most ethical way of killing cows, and I would like some recognition from animal rights activists. I hope to hear what you think about this conspiracy. Regards, Billy. Well, Billy, I've never heard this before in my life. Let's start there. This is brand new to me, buddy. I don't know many cows. I don't hold them in very high regard. I respect cows. Listen, I'm a fan. I'm a fan of cows. I'm a fan of their work. If I meet a cow, it's a goddamn good day. But I don't personally interact with them very often. So this isn't something that my parents would have ever said over a dinner of milk. We also don't drink milk anymore in this. I don't know a lot of people who just drink a glass of milk. But again, cultural differences, and I'm excited to unpack this. As it turns out, because I did a fair amount of research on this subject, as it turns out, while what your mother was saying seems to have a sort of superstitious ring to it, there does seem to also be a logic to your mother's suggestion. Holy shit, let's dig further. Presumably, the milk that we drink is connected to supply and demand, right? The more we drink, the more milk needs to be produced, which means that we need to make more cows to produce it. Supply and demand. We get these cows pregnant and steal away their babies, as is tradition, so that they can then produce the milk that we drink. And if we were to collectively stop drinking the milk, making less demand, there would also be, in theory, less need for the cows. And domesticated cows, as we know them, do not actually exist in the wild, right? There are forms of cows that actually do exist that are like wild forest cows, I guess, but domesticated cows, they can't really live out there. So there's a fair amount of evidence that if our demand were to shrink, if we were to stop drinking the milk, enough farmers would either slaughter their cattle because they're useless and they would be consuming so much of their crops and shit that they need, or at the very least, they would stop producing more cows. So basically, the farmers are saying, if you don't finish all of your milk, Billy, they're going to shoot their cows in the fucking face, right? They're going to murder the cows. If you don't drink every drop of your goddamn 2% milk, I don't know. Do y'all have 2%? Is that a very American concept to to have different, I guess, forms of the thing? I can't believe that's true. I imagine that happens all over the world, but maybe it is. Maybe it's mostly Americans who are like, I want the fat, but only a certain amount of the fat, or the lactose, but only a certain amount of the lactose. I digress. I also looked up what happens to a cow when you stop milking it. And apparently, in worst case scenarios, Billy, and this is going to fuck you up a little bit, a cow can die from being unmilked. That's right. They basically can get sick, and specifically they can get mastitis, which is basically like the clogging of the teat, and it's super painful for the cows, and they can get sick, infections from that sickness, and ultimately, if left untreated, they can die. So yes, you not drinking all of that milk, not allowing that cow to fully eject all that white goodness from its dirty tits. I don't know why I would make this sexual. I listen, folks. I don't fuck cows. I want to be honest about that. I want to just come out and be clear. I can't afford for any more chaos across my Instagram and or Twitter feed. Langston Kerman doesn't fuck cows, but I don't know how to refer to cow titties without making it at least moderately sexual, and that's my hang up. But again, I'm not hard. I'm not horny for the cows. I'm just having the conversation. Do you know what I mean? The point is that in most cases, the cows do not die from the unmilking of their teats, their delicious teats. More likely, the reactions of being unmilked are discomfort, bruising, sickness, and again, mastitis. Now, on a personal note, my wife is currently breastfeeding our daughter, and I've seen firsthand just how much discomfort comes when like overnight she's not able to empty her boobs. You know what I mean? And as much as I'd like to be helpful and suck on them big old things, human titty milk just isn't for me. I've tried it. I don't care for it. I like sucking on almond titties. You know what I mean? Give me a good almond titty. I'll motorboat the shit out of a thick ass almond. That's more my speed. The point is, this theory, as you sort of mentioned in your email to me, also seems to have a very clear, I want to say, crossover with the way that we in America sort of speak about not finishing our food, which is very interesting. The long and short of it being that we in America, now maybe you've heard this before, we say that if you don't finish everything that's on your plate, There are starving children in Africa and Asia who would be happy to eat what's left on our plates. Now, having grown up and experienced food in other countries, and I haven't been to Rwanda, but I've traveled to quite a few places, and I can say with absolute certainty that you kids in Rwanda and you kids in other parts of the world, I know with absolute certainty none of those kids are sitting back and wishing they could eat our half-finished hot dogs and drink the leftovers of our high fructose corn syrup milkshakes. Like, it's not. They eat so much better across the world. People's food is it's purer, it tastes better, it is healthier for you. Now, there is obviously an intentional mistreatment and sort of like starvation of particularly the southern hemisphere of our world, of the globe. That said, the global south, as it were, that said, the food they have, fucking delicious. The food we have, fucking poison. So that whole concept of like, oh, if you don't eat your food, you're being mean to the starving babies of Africa is not only ignorant and short-sighted, but it also just, it can't be true. They don't want the bullshit that we put in our mouths. Now, I will say that it does, where the crossover really seems to live is that it's sort of, like you mentioned, is sort of a strategy of creating shame for young children being wasteful, right? Americans look down, unfortunately, on people of other countries. And apparently, Rwandans, your one for one with the way we treat people of other countries is cows. The principles are the same. The logic, it's far more sad on our end that the best we can do is to treat people like you treat animals. But that's neither here nor there. Now, obviously, all of this might lead you to suggest that it is better for us to be drinking cow's milk and finishing every drop. However, there is quite a bit of evidence that shows that it is way worse for our environment to be raising cattle, and drinking alternative milks would be more ideal. Don't drink titty milk, though. Again, tasted it. It's fine. It ain't the best. Again, the almond, that you gotta suck some almond titties. I would also point out that according to the National Digestive Diseases Information Clearinghouse, what the fuck is that place? But apparently, according to those folks, the NDDIC, they calculate that some 30 million to 50 million Americans are lactose intolerant, including up to 75% of African Americans, and American Indians are 90% of, so 75% for African Americans and Native Americans, and 90% for Asian Americans. They're the most intolerant, and Black people and Native Americans aren't far behind. Moreover, cow burps, apparently, and farts are responsible for up to 14% of the world's carbon emissions. So long story short, don't worry, Billy, about finishing your milk. I have to imagine you're deep in your 30s. So you can stand up for yourself at this point and say, no, I'm not going to finish my goddamn milk. And more importantly, we have bigger problems at hand. Largely the fact that we're overproducing these domestic animals who are going to die if we don't keep consuming them, while they slowly bring it into our lives on this planet. It's a sick, fucked up circle, Billy. And I don't know what to do about it. And I probably should stop eating and drinking anything related to cows, but goddamn is string cheese good, and your boy loves Five Guys. So we're all struggling to do the work, but we try our best every day, Billy. And I appreciate you listening all the way from Rwanda. I don't know what Rwanda is. I'll learn to pronounce your country's name someday, and I hope to be there someday and meet you, Billy, and we'll share a glass of milk. You and I will have a tall glass of milk, and we won't finish it, and then we'll go out in the field and watch a cow die from disappointment that we hated we hated it. If it's his milk, oh boy. Billy, we've been drinking something we didn't know, but we we'll watch her die from us taking a tall, half-finished glass of her milk and being like, this tastes like shit, Bessie. Go ahead, keel over and die. Anyway, if you want to send me conspiracy theories from from places around the world that I've never been to. Like Billy, you can send them to mymommapod@gmail.com. That's right. The lines are open, folks. The hotline, the red phone is ringing off the hook. Who we got? No one? Well, that's because you ain't called yet. So send your emails or your messages and your drops and your theories to mymommapod@gmail.com. And as always, you can follow me at Langston Kerman and like and subscribe and do all the things that you're supposed to do. Leave comments for the podcast. And finally, if you are in Los Angeles on December 15th, you should come to the Hotel Cafe where I will be hosting Langston Kerman and Freaks. It's the monthly show that I run. It's going to be a great time. I'd love to see you all there. Otherwise, I don't know. Bye, bitch.
Motherfucking mini episode. Mini episode. Motherfucking mini episode. Motherfucking mini episode. Mini episode. Motherfucking mini episode.